So I wanted to bring up this thing about exchange of energy and what happens when we get into fights and why we shouldn't. Well, I knew from a very young age, I learned, and why I'm here is my very first playground called Gateway Public School. When we first immigrated here, I didn't speak any English. I failed grade 1, and it was pretty difficult. They didn't have ESL, English as a second language, and when you're not able to communicate, things can be very frustrating. And so, for instance, learning about boundaries, what kids can do and cannot do. They can't just come and take things from you. In any event, fighting was something cool, I guess. So I had to learn how to defend myself. And I could remember getting into a certain kind of fight with this kid named Ivan. At the time I was taking karate kung fu, and I made it up to yellow belt. And so what had happened was I had to learn how to defend myself. And this kid, I got really we were at the portables. I think it was grade 5. Yes, it was grade 5, just before we left here. And I gave him one of these things. Which means you grab them by the hair, right? And you go underneath the nose and you can actually kill a person. And I did that. Right? And why did I do that? Because I got really upset. I was defending my girl, which I thought was my girl. And Carol Evans was her name. And he was after her, and he started getting too close. And you don't do that. So I almost killed the guy. And until this day, I remember in the 80s or something, late 80s, I was walking up Yonge Street and I saw him, and he's like, "Oh, Maria," right? But I still have this mark from. I'm glad I never killed him or anything, but I don't remember getting into trouble. But it's an energy that you don't want to give your energy. This is what disempowerment. When you do things like that in any kind of fighting or activism or even defending in any kind of way, you're giving your energy to that side. And it's a dance. It's a dance that martial arts uses, and the force. And I always thought that I never wanted to fight because I don't want to give that opponent the upper hand by me doing something like this ever again. And I always thought if I do that and engage in that kind of sport or in that way, I never knew how to play fight. I just knew that I don't want to be giving my energy away like that. And so something had taught me for the very first time. I had some kind of vision. I was at the portables, and when this happened, I got really scared. And I thought, oh no, they're gonna, expel me or take me away. And what happened was, I had my very first vision. I don't know what happened. I just I have to explain this, of little gray beings in a spaceship, like a UFO. Somehow I ended up going inwardly, and they communicated. That was my very first contact that I can remember from that traumatic event. I having contact with gray, I think they were the androids, the little ones or whatever, these extraterrestrial beings. And for some reason, now these portables, I remember them being by the adventure playground over there when they first came out. The adventure playground was really amazing when it first came out. And I can swear to God the portables were over on the other side. But in any event, the portables are now, everything's just totally changed. And even when I'd go to sleep, I could envision and remember things that I might have taken in subconsciously, that we would, and I would find myself in my dreams sometimes revisiting this place, perhaps in another parallel reality. In any event, this was my very first encounter that I can recall with alien contact. during the afternoon it was. And it was, we would go underneath the portables actually, and we would play around. We would find all these weird things to do. And I guess I was left just for that moment, space and time alone, and somehow my ears started ringing or something, and I found myself somewhere else. I don't know if I was underneath the portables when this happened or somewhere like that. It was between the portables. And so that was my very first UFO kind of, where I was like kind of, they were communicating from up there or something, and they were communicating to me down here, and actually letting me know that they have my back. It was really strange because I would have actually, I was taught the Kung Fu move, and I would have killed Ivan. I would have killed him on the spot. And this was grade 5. I failed grade 1. I should have been in grade 6. So I don't know how old that would make me. Obviously I was under 15, but that would have been committing murder for the first time in my life over a girl. It's like, wow. But they really, that's all I can remember, is that was my very first UFO encounter in the spaceship. I must have been momentarily taken or they were watching over me or something, but that was my very first encounter with that kind. It was very brief, it was very fast, and it's like having a dream. And so I wanted to share this with you, and I came back to revisit. And so happy Pride weekend, Saturday. Thank you. Bye-bye.